Hi and welcome to Ambiflo, the 3D digitalization factory that turns complex data into visual insights so people can make great decisions quickly. In this presentation we're going to focus on the Site Finder tool, which finds the best cell locations. And how it works is we firstly define the target areas, then we set the customer objectives and preferences, and then the AI tools generate powerful outputs such as value grids, plots of the optimum locations, and a wide range of valuable insights. So for example, we can see here the value grid. So the AI tools have converted the given geography into a contextual map showing where all of the value is. We use that value grid then with the AI tools to search the entire geography and seek out the best locations. In this scenario that we see on screen, we can see that the tool has determined that to serve this given region will require 30 locations, and that is to optimally serve this given geography from an ROI point of view. And here we can see a plot now of those 30 locations, and they're indexed so we can see the best right the way down to location number 30, and we can see from this plot the coverage achieved by each, and here we can see the revenue achieved by each of those locations. In this example we can see that a cumulative plot, and in order to achieve 60% coverage, it shows us that the first 11 locations will serve that requirement. Here we can see that the tools can look at multiple scenarios simultaneously, and we can, for each, the tools generate a unique value grid which then are used to find the optimal locations per scenario. And all of this is brought home into some very simple but very powerful comparative tools. And here we can see that we're able to assess the entire geography against 3 scenarios to give us the answer here, which is that scenario 3 is clearly the preferred option throughout this time scale here, from whether it's in a short or long-term view. In terms of output options, well, the first option you have is that we can export the data to the to GIS formats and Google Earth, so you can take it into your own system, or we can leverage this data directly in the Ambiflo 3D digitalization factory, and we're going to look at that now in the remainder of this presentation. So this is just a simple visualization just to show you the multiple valuable data sets that we can generate are accessed then directly on the digitalization factory. Here, for example, we're just going to walk through a very simple example just to illustrate that. Here we can see the geography, we can see the value grid, and here we can see these locations. Right now we're calling these search areas because the locations that the Site Finder tool generates are optimal locations, but the real world tells us that rarely would you ever get your optimal location. So now the process of finding options within those search areas must begin, and that's what this tool is built for. So here we can see the value grid turned off, and now we're just going to zoom into one search area and we can see the value grid, and we can now start to see this as it moves through the process. So we're touching on some other aspects of the digital factory here. We're touching on workflow as well as the acquisition, design, construction management. So here we can see on the screen we have 3 yellow pins which are backup options, and we have the green pin which is a preferred option. So we're using contextual display to allow people to see very quickly what's happening in each of these search areas. And there are rule sets within the workflow, and one of those rules are that in a given search area there can be only one preferred option, and that's to ensure good behavior right throughout the process of solving each search area. So here we can see the propagation has been automatically modeled and displayed in the system, and here we've got the value grid turned on. In terms of workflow, just to briefly touch on this, because this is the subject of a separate presentation all on its own, workflow. Here we can see, just want to demonstrate that we can click on a pin and we can access data. We can also update the status of that pin. Whatever the next action is, we can close out that next action and move it to the next action. So in terms of so we touched on workflow, and we've touched on the Digitalization Factory, focusing on where we use the Site Finder tool. But just to give you a summary of the Digitalization Factory, the 3D Digitalization Factory. So we've been talking largely around acquisition, design, construction activities there, finding options and converting those into sites and then building those out. We also touched on workflow automation. That again is a presentation all in itself, the entire workflow automation component. And we also mentioned the 3D GIS. And so those locations we saw on those maps, in separate video presentations, we can show you how you can actually use the site stamp tool, and you can actually stamp sites on a 2D map and have those show up in 3D, fully built 3D sites. So the other aspects are document repository. Within the digital factory, we have the ability and the infrastructure to store all of the documents as these options and sites move through their process. So we can store survey reports, photos, 360 panoramics, and we've got a mobile app to upload from the field. So we also have the drawing editor, which means that you can actually prepare and present drawings directly within the digital factory without the need for AutoCAD, and also without the need for distribution, because the drawings are generated within the platform where you can download, but there's no uploading, so it's very powerful. And then finally, we just want to reference the fact that all of this data that you're accumulating through the build, the acquisition, design, construction phase can be accessed via the operations team, which will very valuable data for your operations and optimization teams. If you'd like to book a demo, please send an email to ray.henry@ambiflo.com. Thank you for your time.